Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com, and it is Hump Day. Yes, I am going to do that every Wednesday because I'm basically a child at heart. It's Today in Sports Betting, everybody. Take a look first at the NBA. Bring on my partner, the one and only Scott Reichel. Scotty, what's up, bud?
Nothing much. Looking forward to going through some more sports today. I know that you're going to be continuing the Stanley Cup playoffs for day 2, which is pretty interesting because the Bruins were supposed to play yesterday, and they called an audible because the Lightning went to 5 overtimes, and they ended up moving the game to about right now at time of recording. So the Bruins got an extra day off alongside the Hurricanes because they decided to move their game to 11 a.m. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, I do like I do like that aspect of the virus. It's the one and only good thing to come out of this.
Flexibility with the schedules.
Yeah, it's chaos, dude. It's just all this stuff that is tradition. We can't possibly do this. Is this year anything goes, whatever. You cancel the St. Louis Cardinals for a week, sure, no problem. Pittsburgh, you're in a big slump. You need to stop playing. Yeah, you've got the Cardinals schedule, so yeah, why don't you take an extra 3 days off? It's a brand new landscape out there, buddy. Is Columbus still playing, or is that over? Is that finally over?
I'm pretty sure Tampa won. I feel pretty bad for Korpisalo. What do you have, 85 saves, and he still got the loss?
That's brutal.
That's unfortunate. He's going to have a record in the NHL record books for I don't even know how long.
Given how things are going, it'll probably be like less than a week.
Based on the fact that it took 5 overtimes and he faced 88 shots, that record's probably going to be around for at least a decade.
That's a crazy sport because I'm watching there midway through the 4th overtime and they go, it's now the 11th longest playoff hockey game in history. Like,
and you're thinking something like, what happened before this? What are we doing here?
Right, that was incredible to me. So,
and I'm still trying to think. I was trying to think of some other long overtime games. I was thinking of the Primo game with the Flyers and Penguins.
That's the one that I remember. That was the classic between the Pennsylvania teams there.
Yeah, well, that was the classic. For the Islanders, you had the LaFontaine goal against the Capitals back in like the 70s. That was in, I think, the 5th overtime. I think.
Well, the thing about the Flyers and the Philly, wasn't that a game 7?
It was a game. I know that it was an elimination game.
It was an elimination game. Okay, I mean,
I don't know if it was 7, but I do know that the Flyers did advance to the next round after winning that game.
I have to look at that. I'm almost certain.
It was either game 6 or 7. I'm not sure which one it was.
You know me and my hockey fandom. It's very possible that I misremembered that, but I do remember there was an elimination game. So
yes.
Hey, speaking of teams that should be eliminated, let's talk about the NBA today. You excited about this as we're coming down the home stretch?
Yeah, it should be entertaining. I'm kind of upset personally that Dallas didn't win yesterday because I wanted complete anarchy, which I didn't get. But Lillard at 61. So, he kind of got in the way of that one, but it also didn't help when Trey Burke decided to basically tackle Lillard on an offensive foul with about 5 seconds left, which probably would have gotten the Mavericks the win because the guy made the three-pointer in the corner. But instead, Portland is now the 8. And it's looking like they're going to be playing either I don't even know, because the Grizzlies have been terrible.
They're tied, yeah.
I got to assume the Suns, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's just say you were a betting man. Would you put any money on the Grizzlies right now?
No, I think they're a sinking ship, but I still think Morant's going to win Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, going into the playoffs, or going into the restart, I should say, I thought the Grizzlies were a decent team. Then again, you look at all these 8 seeds in either conference or even the 7 seeds, and you just say, oh, you're just a stepping stone to get killed by the top seeds every single year. So I didn't think the Grizzlies were a threat to beat the Lakers or anything, but, I thought they'd be a little bit more respectable in the bubble. Then Jackson got injured, and you go, oh, this team's basically screwed.
Yeah.
And then, they've won like 2 games in the bubble this entire time, 1 game.
Yeah, they've been exposed a little bit. And the Suns, man, you got to tip your cap. They made a hell of a run. They won 7 straight. They've beaten good teams. So
I was on the Booker bandwagon when he got drafted. So far that's aged pretty well. But all I know is that the Grizzlies in their final game, they play the Bucks, and I'm not sure if Giannis is going to get suspended or not for headbutting Wagner yesterday. But
toss his ass.
Well, he deserved to get tossed. He headbutted the guy.
Did
They
that
ended up
surprise
winning
you?
anyway because Washington's terrible. And I don't really know how Giannis can really do that against the Wizards. That's kind of beneath him.
Or
But,
why?
yeah, the thing you have to wonder is Milwaukee has been so unpredictable. And I'm assuming that with Giannis playing yesterday, he's probably not going to play in the finale.
You wouldn't think so.
Memphis could throw a wrench into some stuff if Milwaukee really doesn't care. And I think people aren't talking about that enough because Milwaukee kind of can determine a lot here. Because I'm pretty sure the Grizzlies have preference over the Spurs and the Suns, correct? Or if the Grizzlies win the finale, they're in. Is that how that works? I believe.
Have they each got one game left? Is that the deal?
I'm pretty sure they each have one game left. And
Okay.
all I know is that even though Milwaukee is a solid opponent, if Giannis isn't playing and based on how they've played in the bubble, there are a lot of worse teams you could have drawn if you're the Grizzlies. I think they could potentially win that one. Are they going to? I don't know. But with motivation playing a factor for one team and not the other, wouldn't surprise me to see Memphis get in and then everything that Phoenix did was for naught. So I know Portland plays the Nets in the finale. So my Nets can play huge spoiler before Lillard drops about 40 in the first half. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and those games will all be tomorrow, and then that's going to wrap it up. And Phoenix plays Dallas.
It's an entertaining game. Dallas should care. I got to lean to Phoenix, though, because Dallas plays no defense at all.
Right? And
So I'll lean to Phoenix there. Portland, I'd have to lean to against the Nets. Grizzlies, based on how the whole thing's gone, I'll assume the Grizzlies are going to lose, but I think they could be a live dog against Milwaukee there. And I don't know who the Spurs are playing.
So you could absolutely end up with a three-way tie.
Correct. And I'm assuming, I don't know what the tiebreakers are. I think it's kind of unfair, if I'm being honest, because you've had like some teams that have played more games than the others, which I think is kind of ridiculous.
Right. Well, and you could also end up with okay. So the Spurs, do they have 2 games left? Because the Spurs have played one less game.
They might not. No, my guess is the season probably stopped before they could catch up in games. They probably have 1 game left, but they're behind in total.
Okay, so if the Grizzlies and Suns both lose, they're 33 and 40. And if the Spurs were to win, they're going to be 33 and 38. So it would actually be the Spurs that would leapfrog them into the 9th spot based on winning percentage.
Well, the Spurs play at Utah in their next game. Oh, not at Utah, but they play Utah. So
Okay.
I think they can win that game also. You know, bettors are going to be all over the must-win teams. We can get into that tomorrow because that either pans out or blows up in people's faces.
There you go. Well, just like pretty much any sports bet. So.
Correct, but I think you can agree that applies tenfold when it comes to must-win games.
Yeah, and that's pretty much, if you look at the stats on that, must-win games are not.
It's a fugazi.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, well, look at your East Coast showing.
Yes.
All right, so let's take a look at today's schedule. We only got 4 games on there, so let's grip it and rip it, buddy. Rockets at Pacers. No Westbrook is he's sitting out.
But yes, Harden.
What's that?
But yes, Harden.
Harden's going to play. T.J. Warren is out for Indiana. Everybody else is that's worth a damn is pretty much questionable for the Pacers. What are you thinking here, bud? It's a Rockets -7, 231 is the total.
So this was actually my play of the day that I had on the overnight. It's actually the first time I've kind of gotten a little bit burned on an overnight line since the restart. I took the Rockets -8. I got them at even money. My logic is I looked through the actual motivation for both teams, and Indiana is still fighting for the 5 or the 4. They could fall to the 6 if Philly catches them.
Right.
Philadelphia is so bad, missing so many people. I don't think that there's really a shot that Philadelphia is going to catch them. So Indiana doesn't really have much to play for because whether you're the 4 or the 5, you're still playing Milwaukee in the second round, so that doesn't really change anything.
Right.
Plus, Warren's out. He's been their best player. You have to wonder about Brogdon and Oladipo. Oladipo came back from a serious injury for about a year and a half. I don't really know if you want to play him in a game that's relatively meaningless. Brogdon could use some reps, but he also was dealing with some injuries in the bubble. I don't know if you want to burn him in a potentially meaningless game. And Miles Turner has been, I don't want to say a non-factor, but he hasn't really been much of a factor in the bubble. Meanwhile, the Rockets are still fighting. I know that they are currently, once again, kind of in that same 4-5 boat, but I believe the Jazz can still catch them and they're in the 6, I think.
Does it? No, I don't think so.
They can't? I thought they could.
They're a game and a half back right now. They've each got one game left.
I'm not sure how many games Utah has.
Let me double check. I got the schedule right here. Utah plays tomorrow, and
I think the Rockets have 2 games left.
no. Oh, yes, they do. The Rockets play Friday and today.
So Utah has 1 game left.
So you could drop both of those and tie would be my
I'm not sure who would have the tiebreaker. I'd probably assume Houston because Houston always destroys Utah.
Yeah, Houston would be 44-28. Utah would also be 44-28.
No, I'm saying I'm assuming that the tiebreaker would be head-to-head, and I'm just assuming that the Rockets probably have the head-to-head.
You'd think. But,
so maybe Houston isn't exactly playing for much, but at the same point, the fact that Harden is going to play at all, and the fact that Indiana's pretty much potentially going to be benching their top 4 players.
Yeah.
I kind of assume that Houston cares more about this game, especially after getting embarrassed by San Antonio by 20-something last night.
Yeah, I don't know where this Indiana team would be without T.J. Warren. T.J. Warren, second best player in the bubble behind
Lillard.
Yeah, behind Lillard.
I think Warren's could be third. You can argue Booker.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
But that's the point, though, is that you can argue with, the Rockets might not have much to play for, et cetera, now that you actually look at the schedule and everything. But at the same point, the question that you have to wonder is how seriously is Antonio going to take this game after they just got embarrassed by San Antonio yesterday by 20-something points? And even though people might say, well, the 20-something point loss is a bad sign, I think it's actually good in this spot because they got to rest a decent amount of people because they're getting blown out the entire second half. They didn't really overlog anybody in terms of minutes, which should help out in this spot. But the fact that Harden is going to play means that I think Houston's trying to go for the kill here. I think Houston can win this game by double digits.
Well, if that were true, wouldn't Russ be playing as well?
No, but that's the point. What I'm trying to say is that they're alternating, which means they're kind of trying somewhat, but the fact that Harden's playing at all,
yeah,
Indiana's considering benching their top 4 guys, I still think Houston cares more about this game.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like it from a matchup standpoint without T.J. Warren.
That's in addition to the matchup standpoint. I don't know Indiana's really going to score without T.J. Warren.
Yeah, I go along with you there. I would probably lean towards the under too on this one. Although you take a Rockets under at your peril.
Yeah.
But without T.J. Warren, pouring in 45, I don't know where the points come from with the Spacers. I'll go along with your Rockets there. I think I like it better at 7, obviously, but I don't.
That's what I'm saying. I got it at 8 on the overnight. I kind of thought that Brogdon, Oladipo, and Turner would be ruled out at some point. I still think one of the 3 or 2 of the 3 will be ruled out. So I do expect
what? How often are you how often are you on the wrong side of a line move?
Since the restart?
No, I mean ever. I mean one out of 5 times.
Oh, it happens. I'm just saying that since the restart, that's the first time I've had a line that's actually burned me.
Yeah,
I still like Houston, though, because I still think that if Brogdon or Oladipo don't play, you're going to see money pouring on Houston. So I'm not immediately throwing in the towel on the bet or anything. I still like Houston. No, I just was surprised money's coming in Indiana.
Yeah, I think you're fine. I think by the end of the day, it could be back up to 8 anyway. So.
I still think Houston's going to win by double digits, so I'm not really that concerned. It's just an observation.
I'll play that with you, and I'll lean under. Raptors Sixers. Raptors minus 6.5, 219.5 is the total there. I don't know. To me, you've got one team that's motivated here, and it ain't the Raptors, although they've been playing awfully good basketball.
That was my thought process. I thought about giving out Toronto potentially as my play that day, and then I actually looked at what they did in their last game against Milwaukee, and now Toronto literally has nothing to play for because they're 3 games up on the Celtics, so they're just locked into the 2. Looking through it, I'm thinking to myself, all right, Lowry might play 20-something minutes. Siakam might not play because he played against Milwaukee. They're going to be benching a bunch of people. Now, of course, the Raptors still have a very solid bench. Philadelphia ended up benching a ton of guys against Phoenix. I know that Tobias Harris didn't play, Al Horford didn't play, Josh Richardson didn't play.
Right.
Are all 3 of those guys superstars? No. But the fact that Philadelphia is going to be using a couple more guys and the fact that Toronto is going to be benching some starters most likely, I didn't really like laying Toronto at 6.5, even though I think Toronto's bench is probably better than Philly's starting lineup. But
Yeah.
plus,
Well,
I can't take 6.
Their starting lineup right now. Their starting lineup with Embiid and Simmons. No,
I'm saying without Embiid and Simmons. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So from that perspective, I'd probably lean to Philly plus the points. But there's no way that I'd go against Toronto because I think Nick Nurse is just light years ahead of Brett Brown.
Embiid is listed for questionable in this game. Is there any way he actually plays?
Hell no.
I don't think so either. I don't know why you do.
I don't know how Philadelphia is supposed to claim, quote unquote, that we're going for a title run, and they're just going to force Embiid back for a regular season game that determines seeding. Like, come on.
That makes no sense to me.
This game still means something to Philly though, because they're still fighting for seeding. So that's why you're going to see Tobias Harris and all these other guys play. Do I think that Philly's going to win? Probably not. But they gave Portland a run for their money a couple days ago. I think they could potentially give Toronto's bench unit a run for their money and lose by 4.
If you're the 6th seed, do you really want to fight to be on that 4-5 line?
Probably not, but then you have to look at how Milwaukee's been playing.
Yeah.
It's worth throwing out there. At this rate, would you rather play – who's the 4 in the East right now? Miami?
Right now it's Miami, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying, would you rather play Milwaukee or Miami, or would you rather play Boston or Toronto? Probably Milwaukee or Miami. Probably.
Well, first round, I'd rather play Boston than but yeah, you're talking about the second round?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they got to get past the Celtics to start with, so.
But I think Philly's screwed no matter what, but I think that you can make the argument that they're going to be fighting for seeding or something.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'd lean to Toronto winning, but I think Philly could easily lose by 4. This game's close.
Yeah, I think this game stays close. I think that's a big enough spread to guard against a backdoor for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would probably lean Sixers there just on motivation, but Toronto's just been getting it done.
That's why I passed on the matchup.
Yeah. Heat and Thunder. Heat -2, 218.5. I'm just, of course.
I think I have to lean to the Thunder here, right? I mean, especially now that Butler's and Dragic are healthy again.
Yeah, and the number one thing, and I know, you and I do it, and we don't talk about it enough, but if you're going to bet these games, check the injury list. Check the injury report, who's playing and who isn't. Because, Adams has been out for Oklahoma City. It looks like
yesterday. It's kind of like preseason in football. They're just telling you who's going to play and who's not going to play like hours before the game because they genuinely don't care. In this case, both teams kind of have something to play for, I guess. But at the end of the day, every team's for the most part just focused on the playoffs at this point. So they're not afraid to tell you, oh, Adams? No, he's going to play and he'll be ready by the playoffs. And you're just like, all right, thanks. That's about a 1 or 2 point line move.
Right, and you've got Adams and Gilgeous-Alexander listed as questionable for this one.
Schroeder's still out for Oklahoma City. That's not ideal. I just think Miami's the better team. I do like Oklahoma City, but Miami was my sleeper in the Eastern Conference. I just think Miami's the deeper team on offense, and Oklahoma City, despite how good they are defensively, they don't really have many scores.
No, they're really all about the defense.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to lean to Milwaukee. I'm going to lean to Miami. On the short spread.
Yeah, it's hard not to there. Although Thunder best team against the spread in the NBA, but that was.
I still think if Adams does not play, eventually Noel doesn't play, I got to assume Adebayo is going to kill these guys.
Yeah, both of who are listed as questionable, so we'll see what happens there. Last game on the board, Clippers Nuggets. Clippers -5.5, 228 is the number there.
So for this game, no real injury news has been reported besides the fact that Paul George is questionable. So I know that he didn't play Sunday against the Nets. So my guess is he probably will play in this game. In reality, would the Clippers try for this game? I mean, why would either team try for this game?
I don't know. Yeah, this is a no seeding.
Well, forget about the no seeding. This is a potential scouting game for both teams. Going to be playing each other probably in the second round.
True.
So I don't know why the Clippers would go into this game and say, "Oh, we're going to show them everything for scouting." We're going to play Kawhi and Paul George. I don't think Kawhi's going to play today.
You don't believe in any kind of a momentum sort of thing or making a statement or any of that stuff?
Doesn't matter. Realistically, you can argue on making a statement until you realize that they still have to play a 4 out of 7 series before they even play each other again. Right. I think all momentum's going to be gone at that point. So if I really had to guess on where I'd lean, I'd probably lean to the Nuggets because the Nuggets had the entire bench unit play in the fourth quarter against the Lakers. They were still competitive. They almost won. I got to assume that the starters will play a little bit more because they barely played in that game. And the Clippers, Paul George didn't play in their last game. I got to assume that they're going to copy the Rockets and alternate between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard playing.
Well, neither one of those guys are on the report.
Kawhi is no stranger to not being on the report and then getting some load management treatment at the last second. So, do you think Kawhi should play? Because I don't know why he should play.
No, I don't think any frontline starters should play in this game.
Correct, but I'm assuming that since Paul George rested Sunday, they'll probably bring him back, kind of like what Houston's doing with Westbrook and Harden, just alternating every day.
Well, I'll tell you, Denver's going to have to do it with Michael Porter because Barton and Harris are both going to be out again for this one. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that if you look at the benches, I know Harrell's supposed to come back for the final regular season game, or whatever you want to call it, but he's not going to be playing in this game. I got to assume that Kawhi's not going to play. I know Beverly's still out. I think Denver right now has the deeper roster. They have the better roster? No. But I think they have the deeper roster, so in a game that's meaningless, I got to take the team with more depth, right?
I agree. And here's the thing.
This game's such a crapshoot because you don't know anything about the injury reports. But I think that if Kawhi decides not to play, right, the Nuggets right now are 5.5-point underdogs. They're going to close as 2-point chalk if Kawhi ends up not playing? You're going to beat like a 7-point line movement maybe?
You think 7 points? You think so?
It could be because that shows motivation. The way that I see this one is that they're pricing like the Clippers are going to play everybody. That's what the line looks like to me. Because I don't think Denver's going to rest many guys because they rested them for the fourth quarter against the Lakers.
Well, yeah, I mean, except for Barton and Harris, they've got a little bit of.
They're still injured.
I don't know, bud. It's. And I know that we come on and we talk about, we follow this stuff. This is what we do for a living.
There's a lot of speculation when it comes to projected line moves.
Right. I'm telling you right now, I don't know that there's ever been a tougher capping situation than meaningless games in the NBA bubble. This is you are taking your bankroll in your own hands at this point, because there's so many different factors that come into play here, and it's all about motivation. It's all about rest.
The only thing I know is, do you think the Clippers should be a 5.5-point favorite? Let's just say that hypothetically Kawhi and Paul George play. Hypothetically. I still think Kawhi's not going to play. But let's just say that they do play. What, they're going to play 25 minutes apiece?
Well, you mean if this was a regular season game that meant something, do I think the Clippers should be a 5.5-point favorite?
Of course they should be. I'm saying on this specific case where the game does not matter, and the Clippers have been resting players all season long to prepare for a playoff run, I don't think they should be 5.5 in one of the last regular season games of the year.
No, probably not. But, then again, it's a crapshoot. That's what it is.
I agree. But I think that Denver has the deeper overall roster in case they bench guys or they give minute restrictions. So I'd lean to Denver. I think Denver money line's a decent play there for value if I had to lean in one direction. Because there's no way I'm playing the Clippers because I genuinely think Kawhi's not going to play. I don't see the point of playing him. You? Because I don't get it.
No, there's no reason to play him. I can't believe the NBA is really going to let him get away with not listing him on the report and then not playing him.
Well, my question for you is, who do you think would benefit more in their own minds for winning a regular season meeting that doesn't mean anything, Denver or the Clippers? The answer is Denver. Yeah,
well, and by the way, that number's already down to 4.5, so that's within the last 30 minutes.
Okay, well, I saw 5.5, but I think if you like Denver, I'd probably take it now.
Oh no,
I really don't think Kawhi's going to play.
It was 5.5 30 minutes ago when I put it down. So
and it's gone down a full point.
Yeah, it's gone down a full.
I'd probably look into taking Denver. But I would pass entirely because I have no interest. But if Kawhi officially is ruled out, I would probably pull the trigger on Denver.
You can pull it plus 160 on the money line. That's probably where I'd play that.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Just take a spin. Okay, well there you go. So 4 games, and boy, we hope that we certainly helped with our expert advice here today.
Well, there's a lot of games that you don't know the injury reports. It's
no, you don't know. You don't know how long they're going to play either.
Well, that's why the overnights have been kind of volatile, because of the fact that if you have some early news saying, "Oh, they're playing the second night of a back-to-back," clearly this superstar is not going to play back-to-back nights. you can beat some serious line movements. Like I had the Spurs yesterday. I beat an 8-point line movement.
Right.
I beat an 8-point line move. It was just I got a +3, closed to -5. Like there's a lot of value if you actually look deep enough on the overnight in any sport as well, even baseball money lines. You can find a lot of value on the overnights.
Right.
But it's a matter of don't be afraid to pull the trigger every now and then. And of course, motivation is going to play a huge factor. Don't go wild with pulling the trigger, but if you think that there's an angle on a superstar potentially missing a game, like for example, what I think about Kawhi Leonard with Paul George playing now, I think you can find some value potentially 5.5 if you think that line's going to plummet. And if Kawhi does not play, that line should plummet.
I think Kawhi plays, but I think he plays less than 20 minutes.
That's the point, though. Even if he does play for less than 20 minutes, does he really have that much of an impact on a point spread?
No, obviously not.
That's the point. So I think Denver has some value here. They're pricing this line like they expect Kawhi and Paul George to play 30-something minutes a game in this game, and I just don't see that happening.
Okay, all right, good enough. I think they're kind of hedging it. I think if both those guys were playing regular season, I think this is more like a -7.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think they're trying to have the best of both worlds here. So, all right, man, that's it. That's a basketball show right there, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm ready for the playoffs. That's all I'm going to say. I think that once the playoffs start, this is going to be a lot.
Well, we can't start the playoffs yet because we have to do the play-in series between the 8 and the 9.
I know. There's not even a playoff schedule. I'm trying to put together the schedule for next week. There's not even a playoff.
You can't find it yet.
No, there's no playoff schedule. They start Monday. How about that?
Well, you have to wait for the 8-9 because you're going to have to wait to see who's going to be the final team in the thing. Luckily, the Wizards are so far out of it, you don't have 2 playing games, you have 1. So you have to wait as long. But if the 9 seed wins the first game, you're playing 2 games.
And you could have a tiebreaker at the 9-10 where you got to have a play-in game to get to play-in game.
Is that how that's going to work?
How else would it work? You think
that's how I assume it would work. I don't think you can go by regular season record head to head.
You think you just go to tiebreaker?
It could, but I think that's kind of a cop-out move if you invite people to the bubble, have them all the way back, and then say, oh, they beat you twice back in January.
Right.
So you lose. You get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir. I don't see that happening. So
especially since they made up the whole within 4 games and doing the play-in 8-9 thing.
It's within 4 games unless you're tied with the 9 team that beat you in the regular season because now you're out. It's like, what are we doing here? This is just complete, bush league.
Chaos.
I got to assume there's a playing game for a play.
It's chaos is what it is, man.
I love it, but I got to assume it's a playing game for a playing game.
Oh, good times. All right, buddy. Let's come back and do this again tomorrow. We can talk about even more games where we have no clue what's going to happen.
Well, tomorrow should be a lot easier because you have a lot of teams in must-win situations, which are going to be throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it. So you should be able to tell where money's going to come in on, what teams should carry.
Oh yeah, I couldn't be more excited about Boston and Washington and the Lakers and Kings.
Boston, Washington's important.
I'm pumped for tomorrow. Believe me.
Boston, Washington's important for me because I still have a winless team in the bubble at +300. So that game actually means something to me.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they'll be adjusting their lineups accordingly. Oh, Richel's got a winless team bet at +300. So
I'm just saying, if the Wizards beat the Celtics, it's probably an 8-point underdog. That's going to be a pretty bad beat. It's a decent hedge option, though. You go from winless to +300, and you hedge it at +325. That's really not that bad, but I'm not hedging them in too deep.
All right, good for you.
Thank you.
All right, let's. We're wrapping it up right here. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about baseball.
Yep, sounds good.
On the other side. So thanks for joining us here today. Of course, good luck on all your plays. Don't forget to check out winnersandwhiners.com for deep dives into every game. Yes, if you want to find out even more about the Denver Clippers game, make sure you check out Winners and Whiners. Oh, good times. This is having a blast. All right, so for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us here at Winners and Whiners, guys take care. Have a great day. We'll see you on the baseball side. Take care. Later.